come on down.
It's the step right up. Yeah.
That's right. Hello, I'm Jacqueline Coley, and welcome to Seen on the Screen, brought to you by Make It Universal and Rotten Tomatoes, where we talk movies with some of the people behind the scenes at NBC Universal. When entertainment works best, it sometimes opens a window into a world we've never imagined. Other times, it shows us a mirror image of our lives with a heightened sense of home. Today, we're going to dig into the question, what have you seen on the screen that has done that? My guest today is Arnold Klein. Hello, Arnold, and welcome to the Seen on the Screen podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am too. So we're going to start with my very favorite question. First of all, who are you and what do you do at NBC Universal?
My name is Arnold Klein, and I'm the Senior Director of Global Digital Marketing, which means I market movies in the digital space.
Break it down exactly like how your team sort of looks at it. What parts of digital marketing are you touching and how do you strategize that?
So we basically try to reach audiences wherever they're engaging most. So that's social and digital, and thinking of all the platforms that people use like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. And then we also extend our reach to some of the secondary digital platforms, Twitch, Reddit. And, we try to create content that resonates with them in the platforms that they're using.
That is a very enviable job, I think, like just getting to play around on social media a little bit. Maybe not. Some people might not love that. I think I would love that a little bit, especially TikTok. But how did you sort of come to that path? Because it doesn't seem like, this wasn't even a job a few years ago, right?
Yeah, I know. I feel like when I think about it, I feel like I'm 100 years old because so much has happened in the digital landscape in such a short period of time. And I started my career out at Warner Brothers, kind of creating the first ever Facebook page for Warner Brothers Entertainment and Harry Potter and, some big franchises. And then I moved over to NBC Universal where I was, on the digital team for the parks. I was there for about half the time I've been at NBC Universal. And then I've been at Universal Pictures ever since, working on all of the digital and social marketing. So that's kind of the path. And it's funny that you say that because there is a big misconception of like, oh, it sounds like fun. But obviously there's so much strategy, so many tactics and things that go behind it. And it's not just, sending out an Instagram post or making a silly TikTok. So
maybe that's just my dream about it. Just like I think everyone like dreams of my job. It's like, well, all it is just movies and film festivals. But you're right. There's always going to be sort of behind the scenes thing that folks don't necessarily know about. We're going to go behind the scenes on you a little bit. Have you seen the podcast before? So you know a little bit about it?
Yes.
Okay. So we're getting ready to dive into our popcorn buckets. These ones are our very first ones. Hopefully these are things that you are familiar with and have seen on the screen. I'm going to give you a quote from one of them, and then hopefully you're going to remember what the movie it's from. This island didn't have a murder rate until you people showed up.
From I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, the one with Brandy, not I Know What You Did Last Summer.
That is such a good distinction too, because the one with Brandy and Mekhi Phifer, we don't want to not give him his proper in that, but I think I just saw Jennifer Love Hewitt talking about this movie and how it was significant for her. Why is it so significant for you, this series, I should say, or particularly this iteration?
This was the first slasher film I saw growing up, which kind of introduced me to the world of horror, and it became my favorite genre for quite some time, and it still is, but I've slowly transitioning. I have 3 kids, so transitioning more into the action adventure animation world. But yeah, this is definitely one of those slashers that I enjoy.
Can any of them watch HorrorNet? Nothing, none of them. They're all
the oldest
under.
Is 7, youngest is 3, but they've been exposed because of my work. Yeah.
So they've been there's been an exposure rate.
Yes.
They've already seen some horror instances. Slasher genre is definitely one that's had a renaissance, and horror is way more popular than it used to be. But what made you sort of gravitate it? Because it wasn't the genre that it is now back in '97 when you first started getting so interested in it.
Yeah, I feel like you're always intrigued watching those, trying to figure out who's behind the mask and who the killer is. So there's always, you're intrigued by that. And I feel like when you have a young group of kids who are fun, having a good time, and something goes wrong, is just, mindless film movie, and it's fun.
I mean, I take that back. There was Scream at this time, but it's just like now there's so many more like really violent horror movies where they really sort of lean into it. All right, this one's one that's hopefully familiar for you. Don't worry, Katie, I won't let them harm you ever again.
That's our girl Megan, you know, AI doll killing people.
And serving for every single scene. So let's just talk about Megan, because that campaign was just really brilliant. As you said, like the internet adopted Megan in so many ways and then went places that we never expected. What is that like for you as a marketer? Because you guys, to your point, are planning and strategizing and coming up with all these huge ideas for a campaign like that, but you could never imagine that it would go where it went. Or maybe you did.
I mean, I think Megan grew above our wildest expectations just from that first trailer alone. And we helped take her to the next level, essentially. So created a lot of meme-like content, and Reddit was a big part of that. Actually, Megan herself did a Reddit AMA.
Yeah.
It was a good group of us. We were all on a Zoom, all connected, just, you know, filtering out the questions that were coming in and then putting ourselves in Megan's shoes and essentially answering as if, you know, we were young Gen Z teen girl is ultimately what ends up happening. And, you know, it's and in the background is a bunch of diverse voices all contributing to that and making sure, you know, Megan's staying on brand and being true to herself. So a lot of that, even the comment section within our profile pages, both like took off. You know, we were engaging in between comment sections on all the different platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter back then, now X. And, you know, the same kind of concept on Reddit with the AMA and being able to be live with Megan, I think was a really cool initiative. And even the way we promoted it was fun. It was obviously Megan first person promoting it across all of the different channels for people to tune in.
And I think that's such a great use of the Reddit AMA, which is like, ask me anything. It's like they go on there and like, I just remember watching it. It was so entertaining. I guess reading it, watching it, whatever. Like the idea that you could ask a murderous robot anything was just such a treat. And I get why folks were loving it. All right, back into the popcorn bucket. Here we go. Guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.
It's a holiday favorite, Home Alone.
Yeah, I've heard this now that we've done the podcast for a while. This is actually, I think, like an annual watch for a lot of people. Is this an annual watch for you?
100%, and always awesome to share it with my family. Like, you know, I watched it as a kid growing up, and now my kids watch it. We all get around during Christmas, watch it multiple times, and they love it. So it's nice to share that, you know.
Do you remember what the first film that you sort of did get to share with your kids as a family, like when they're old, when they were all old enough to maybe, you know, commit to the 2 hours or the hour and a half or whatever it was?
My firstborn, he's 7 now. I think the first movie he watched from beginning to end was Moana.
Okay.
And that became a family favorite. I think that was on repeat for a really long time.
Maybe too long.
And then followed by Trolls World Tour, which, you know, we were in the thick of the pandemic at that point and we were stuck home. And I feel like it was a good time actually to watch a lot of really good family movies with the kids.
That is a good one. Have you gotten, this is again, you get to go to these incredible like events. Have you gotten to take them to any like Universal events, like watching any of these movies on the lot? Because it's kind of magical when you can do that.
Yes. How to Train Your Dragons, the animated feature was my son's first like sit through in theater, watch it. And it was at the premiere actually. And then he got to go to the party. And sometimes there's the, you know, family and friends events that we have at Universal.
Yeah.
And for so long, he got used to going to the theaters and then going to a party afterwards that when we went to a regular movie theater once, he was like, where's the party?
There is no dancing
like,
and revelry. This is not a movie. Universal kid in the best of ways and spoiled by that proximity. Yes. I love that. All right. So that was our quotes. Now you've been doing good. Like I feel like you knew everything right away, connected with it. This bucket right here that we're diving in, these are actually going to be the true false questions. So I'm going to read out a fun fact about one of the movies. You're going to tell me whether it's true or false, and then I may have some details on it. And it's probably, again, something that you've seen on the screen. In the movie Monkey Man, Dev Patel had to relearn how to do the kitchen fight scene one-handed. True or false?
This is absolutely true. I think he injured himself on set and had to like run off and go get surgery, and against medical advice came back to set to finish that scene with just one hand.
Yeah, he broke his hand. They had to put a pin in it. They were like, the typical thing, don't do anything, don't go fight people. He fought people, but we got good art out of it. And had to get x-rays. Yeah, it was crazy though.
That scene was amazing. And for Dev's, first movie, he's the star, and his directorial debut was insane. And the fact that he did that, true warrior.
Yeah, and it was, I spoke to him a little bit through the process of that film, and one thing he really talked about is, again, all of the struggles that he went through, like injuring his hand and like everything else. By the time that he got to Universal, it was like he got graduated to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Like he literally felt like Universal got to play fairy godmother on this movie, and he was so... Yeah, the way he approached it, he was so grateful for that moment and happy.
A 10-year process.
Yeah,
right?
a 10-year process. Insane. And that's such an avant-garde film. Monkey Paw, I know, was a part of the production with it, even though, from what I understand from Dev, it didn't start there. Like, I'd love for you to tell us the story of how, his movie ended up being part of Jordan Peele's production company, Monkey Paw, that eventually became like a Universal Pictures release.
Jordan, yes, brought that over to us. And it is a story that's very unique and different. And I feel like our studio, champions storytelling from all different angles. And that is something that I, enjoy, because obviously everybody that we work with has a different background. And it was exciting to work on that, because obviously Jordan and Universal, we stand for diversity and being able to tell a lot of different stories. And having, Dev obviously shared a lot of personal experiences as well, off screen, talking about kind of the journey to get there. I think one of the things that resonated with me, growing up Armenian and having obviously an ethnic background, he talked at length about, how difficult it was for him, whether it was getting together with a group of friends and he had to, at school, and he had his lunch box full of ethnic food, and how he was embarrassed to take it out because he'd be judged by the others. I feel like there's moments like that he talked about that resonated with me, because when I was little, I kind of felt that way too sometimes. And hearing other people's experiences helps you think about, it helped me overcome a lot of that. And I feel like having more and more representation that's diverse and different on screen could, help anybody else that is feeling, maybe sad to say, ashamed or
marginalized in some way.
Exactly.
Because you're Armenian American,
yes.
Correct? And I know that you're really connected with the LA community here, and that's got to be very powerful to work in a media where hopefully one day you could also maybe have that representation as part of something that you're working on,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of communities online who highlight Armenians within the entertainment industry. We've come a long way. There's a lot of work still to be had, which I feel like is the case in a lot of areas. But anytime there's somebody you can relate to on screen, just makes that experience that much better.
It makes it richer. It makes it more tangible. And even with films like Monkey Man, where maybe you're not a part of that culture, you can recognize the universality in it.
100%, and the different struggles and the things they overcome to kind of get to where they are. So I always like that. And we talk about there is not enough Armenian representation on screen, and when there is, it's usually something about the war, the genocide, and it's just a heavy topic. It would be fun to see just more of a coming of age story that's
like a day in the life.
A day in the life. Yeah, I feel like we're getting there close more and more. Obviously there's a lot of Armenian producers that are behind the scenes working on things, so I feel like the day will come. Yeah,
and we'll be here to watch it.
Yes.
Let's dive into our trivia bucket again, true or false. This one is, when the E.T. Adventure Ride first debuted at Universal Studios Florida in 1990, Riders could choose between a bike or a spaceship. True or false?
It's a tricky one, but I think it's true.
Yes, it is.
To begin with, they had both because I believe it was you needed to be ADA compliant in a spaceship, not a bike, and most people wanted the bike.
The history,
and
though.
Then they ended up at making the bikes, and then when they rebuilt it out here in Hollywood, it was just the bikes.
So the ET adventure ride is basically like you are the kids as they're trying to escape the Federals.
Yes.
Like it's basically the chase scene in ET.
Exactly.
But you're able to like pedal on it, and you're not really moving, but it looks like you're moving. It's one of those like you're stationary sort of ones, right?
No.
Is it? Are you moving?
Practical sets.
Oh, it's practical. You go all the way through.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought it was stationary.
Yeah.
I haven't been to that one.
Yeah.
In
That
case
was
you
the
know.
Back to the Future ride.
That
That is
was
now the Simpsons ride. Yeah.
The Lord. Well,
Yeah.
you're a parks person.
Exactly.
You're like read through the parks and like love the parks and all of that. And I love that you have this history. Do you have a favorite ride?
E.T. actually.
Really?
Yeah, and it's still open in the Orlando parks, but they switched out for the Mummy ride here. So
Yeah, the Mummy. I've been on the Mummy many a times, but that's the roller coaster.
yes,
And you're sort of like love and history with theme parks and Universal. Like this goes deep. Like literally like one of your first gigs, is this right?
yes. When I was 16 in high school, right? That's where we are in 16.
Yes.
I would come to Universal Studios Hollywood, the theme park, with my friends pretty much every weekend. We had an annual pass back then too. And it was, a theme park based on movies, and we obviously love movies. So we would ride the tram ride. And because of that, I was like, okay, I need to work here. Like, I want to work here. So I ended up getting a job as a carnival a game show host out by, it was like a Flintstone themed one back then. And I was basically on the mic all day, and people, would pay the $3 or $5 to shoot basketball and win a prize. I was on the mic all day, just like talking to guests and doing like movie trivia and stuff. It was really cool.
Can I get your carnival voice? Like, will you give it for me? Like, cause that's like a different, listen, come on down.
It's the step right up. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, sorry.
That was
I just had to get that. I'm like, I don't know what mine would be. So I'm like, let me do mine first.
Yeah.
But that was perfect. Thank you. All right. The next true or false question we have, from the 1978 original Halloween to the 2022 Halloween Ends, Jamie Lee Curtis has appeared in 6 films in the Halloween franchise. True or false?
Okay. That was the first one. Halloween 2, Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, Halloween 2018 Kills and Ends. So that's false because it's 7 actually.
And the fact
Trick question.
there's nothing for me to say other than false. And yes, it is 7. Do you have a favorite?
Yes. Obviously the original,
Yes.
but being a part of the revival in 2018, that is my favorite. I feel like that was a huge part of my career here, and I enjoyed working on that so much because I was a huge fan, and then got to bring it back to life. 40 years later, we ignore all the sequels that happened in between, right?
We do, yes.
Other
than the trivia question.
Yes. But it was rewarding in the sense that, got to work with the original filmmakers. Jamie Lee Curtis was on board, and she was amazing at every turn, worked so closely with her. And just being able to be a fan and then work on that one, I think that 2018 revival was amazing. It's my favorite.
And like, not to name drop, because the only reason why I say this is like, I think this is a singular effort, but occasionally with these efforts, like, because it's somebody like Jamie Lee Curtis, you actually, like, I love this story, like you were able to like congratulate her after she won the Oscar. Is that true?
Yes. Jamie is the sweetest person I know. We're good friends. We keep in touch here and there.
That's so great.
Actually, I have a funny story where we were at our house in Idaho.
Love it.
Fun, yeah, beautiful house, great backyard. There's a river that flows through it.
Love it.
And we were doing a promo shoot for something. And back then she, I remember we were sitting on her porch. It was just her and I, and she was like, oh, like the Oscars, campaigning hadn't happened yet. And she was like, this is it, Arnold. Like this is, if I'm going to get an Oscar, this is it. And I, what do you think? And I remember looking at her and I was like, Jamie, you are going to win this Oscar. And I said it like fully confident, and this was for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was an amazing movie, and she was incredible in it. And then when she won her Oscar, I think literally the next day, she called me and she said, when I was accepting the award, I thought about that moment in Idaho and the conversation we had. And I was like, oh, that's super sweet.
That is so sweet. Again, we're not that name dropping, but that's a great moment of really building a friendship with someone that you got to work with. And the fact that they happen to be Jamie Lee Curtis is just like adds flavor
super
to it.
Sweet, yeah.
For folks that don't know, we chat before we sort of like film here today. And the thing I was really struck by, and a lot of folks that worked on this were struck by, was how your relationship with the studio goes so deep. Like we all love where we work, but you really do love the studio, and it kind of permeates. Like you didn't even want to name other movies. You were just like, these are Universal movies. These are my movies. These are my friends. And I think that love, it has to permeate in everything that you really kind of do here, right?
Yes, 100%. As Dom Toretto would say, we're all family here.
Yes.
And I've been loyal to the studio, and I love working here because, again, of the different stories we get to tell. And then going back to my younger years, working at Universal Studios, the theme park, I think that just, helped. I think that was kind of the start of where my love for this specific studio grew. Knowing, also we were the home of like all the classic monsters, like being a big horror fan, loving the original classic monsters.
Yeah, Dracula, Frankenstein, 100%. Mummy, yeah.
So that was like a big part of it. And then being a big horror fan, I enjoyed working at the theme parks, the day park, as well as Halloween Horror Nights, which was a big part of what I did when I was at Universal. But there's just something different about the studio that I feel like some of our other competitors don't have. And it really is truly the culture, the people, everybody, everything that everybody brings to the table is just on another level. And some of my friends, long life friends, are like my colleagues who I can already tell we're going to continue to be friends for wherever people go and venture off in their life. So definitely the company culture, even back then, was always amazing, and even more so now.
I think it's so funny. And it goes back to the early days. As I tell people, it's like, look, this is the studio that made All Quiet on the Western Front and Dracula Returns. And like, that is a very different type of studio, and it stays that way to this day. So you've been an amazing sport thus far, and did very well with the quotes and with the true or false. Now we're going to dive into the world of Universal Pictures, and you're going to get to turn the tides on me. Are you excited about this?
Yes.
I should hope
so. I'm ready for it.
If you can pop that open, inside that globe, it's like you kind of pop the top. There you go. Inside there, what you're going to do is, those are quotes you're going to read to me, and then you're going to give me the option of A, B, or C, and hopefully I can guess based on that what the movie is. And hopefully I will get it, although again, the people who designed the quiz like to see me suffer.
I've always been better at feeling out volcanoes than people and politics. Which movie does this quote belong to? A, Dante's Peak, B, Crimson Peak, or C, Earthquake?
I mean, I think it would be Dante's Peak, but part of me thinks that they would do that to mess with me, and that it's something like Crimson Peak or something else. I'm just going to say what I feel.
What is your final answer?
Dante's Peak.
You got it right.
Okay, thank God.
All right, the next quote. I'm strong, I am powerful, and I am beautiful. Which movie does this belong to?
Y'all.
A, The Secret Life of Pets, B, Girls Trip, or C, Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Won't You Be My Neighbor? It's not that one. Secret Life of Pets. It's
wrong.
Girls Trip?
Girls Trip, yes.
Where does she say that? Oh,
when
it's because
her
mantra.
Her book.
Yes.
When she's talking about her book. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, girl.
Yeah.
See?
I worked on Girls Trip. That was a good one.
See, I knew it.
All right, next one. Have you been crying to Taylor Swift? Is it from A, The Bad Guys, B, Pitch Perfect 2, or C, The Fall Guy?
Yeah, that's definitely The Fall Guy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great movie.
Recent, thank God. Yes, it's In the Car with Ryan Gosling, and that's Emily Blunt. I'm with that one.
She knocks on the window. Yeah, that's a good moment. Taylor actually reposted that, which was great for our marketing.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yay, Taylor. We love a Taylor repost.
Next one is Cool Raccoon Suit. Which movie is this from? Trolls World Tour, A, B. Strays. C. The Super Mario Brothers.
I want to say that's Super Mario Brothers.
You are correct.
Okay, good.
That's the one.
But that also feels like something vulgar that one of the dogs could have said in Strays. That's the reason why. Like, I was like, did one of the puppies say that? But
what
no.
was that? 4 out of 5?
Yes.
No.
I did okay.
Nice.
Best I've done. They're torturing me slightly less. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Although I'm never going to live it down that I missed Girls Trip. Okay, Arnold, thank you. Oh, and thank you for placing it back down. Arnold, thank you for being such a good sport today and for sharing all of the incredible things that you've seen on the screen. And thank you for being here.
It was so much fun. Thank you for having me.